Hi guys, for today's lesson we're going to be dealing with distance, time and speed. So the first up, some rules to remember. So the following formulas are very useful when calculating speed, distance or time. So these are our three formulas. Speed is equal to distance over time is equal to distance over speed, and distance equals speed multiplied by time. Now the DST triangle actually helps you kind of remember these formulas nice and easy. So the idea is you make a triangle, D up the top, S on the left and T on the right for DST. And the idea is that you can pretty much cover up what you're trying to find. So say if we're trying to find distance, I'll cover that one up, and distance is equal to speed next to time. Next to, remember, means multiplication. So speed multiplied by time. If I wanted to figure out what speed is, I'd cover up the S, and that's distance over time. So that means distance divided by time. And if I want time, I'd cover that one up, and it's distance over speed, or distance divided by speed. So nice simple way to remember what these three formulas. Really important note is that the units for distance or time need to match the speed units when you're dealing with these formulas. So it's really important that the units are matching when you're using these formulas. Let's do an example to demonstrate this. So what is the average speed of a car that travels 450 kilometers in 5 hours? So the idea is the distance is 450 kilometers and your time is 5 hours. So you're going to do 450 divided by 5, which gets you 90. But it's really important to understand what units you're going to use for speed. You have to make sure your speed units match kilometers and kilometers and hours and hours. They have to match, otherwise it won't work. So that's your final answer, so 90 kilometers per hour. Question 2. How far does a plane travel at a speed of 740 kilometers per hour if he travels for 5 hours and 14 minutes? So we give you the speed, we give you the time. You need to figure out how far the plane travels. So we're trying to figure out distance. So distance equals speed multiplied by time. Our speed is 740 kilometers per hour. We need our speed units, kilometers per hour, to match our time units. So we look at this, we've got hours. Is our time in hours? And the answer is technically no. We do have hours here, but it's in hours and minutes. The minutes is a huge problem. So we need to somehow change 5 hours and 14 minutes into just hours. And the idea is that we pretty much get our 5 whole hours there, and the 14 minutes looks like 14 out of 60. So we get this mixed fraction happening. When we do 740 times this mixed fraction, then we're dealing with hours, and this is this whole time in hours. So this is going to solve our issues. So that gets us an answer of 3,872.67 kilometers. That's how far the plane travels in this amount of time. That's the 2 decimal places. Okay, moving on. So how long does it take a bullet train to travel 30 kilometers if it travels at a speed of 90 meters per second? So we've got a speed here, we've got a distance, we want to figure out how long, we want to figure out what the time is. So time is equal to distance over speed. We've got a distance of 30 kilometers and a speed of 90 meters per second. Have a look at these units of distance here. So kilometers and meters, they do not match. So we need to change it up so they do. The idea is we can change up 30 kilometers so it becomes meters instead. So therefore it'll match. So doing that, we can change it by timesing it by 1,000. There's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So that's 30,000 meters instead. So this 30 kilometers changes to 30,000 meters. And we've still got the 90 meters per second down the bottom. Now our units match. So we can do the calculation. 30,000 divided by 90 gives us 333.33 seconds to two decimal places. That's a whole heap of seconds. We'd probably prefer that in minutes. There's 60 seconds in a minute. So we can divide this number by 60 and we get roughly 5.56 minutes to 2 decimal places. So that's how long this bullet train is going to take to travel 30 kilometers. It's only going to take about 5.5 minutes, because 0.5 is a half. Okay, a couple more questions, guys. So convert 120 kilometers per hour to meters per second. So 120 kilometers per hour, that's pretty fast. That's like going over the typical speed limit in the car. We want to know how fast this is in meters per second. How many meters do we travel every single second? So the strategy is to multiply or divide both sides of your rate. So this is our rate here. Multiply and divide both sides of it to convert to the correct amount of time first. We want to somehow change this hour so it becomes a second. So we want to change that first, and then you want to convert your distance units. So after we've changed an hour to seconds, then you want to convert kilometers to meters. That's the strategy. So let's do that. So first up, we've got 120 kilometers per hour. So that looks like that. I want to change my time to the desired amount of time. I want to go from 1 hour to 1 second. The way to do that is to divide by 60 twice. Because if we divide an hour by 60, we get to 1 minute. Divide it by 60 again, we get to 1 second. So in this, when you're doing this, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So 120 divided by 60 divided by 60 in a calculator gets you 0.03 repeater. And notice the units doesn't change. We're still in kilometers. But we have got now 1 second, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted this 1 second here. So now we've got to think to ourselves, we've got this many kilometers. We want meters instead. So the way to do that, to convert from kilometers to meters, is we're going to multiply by 1,000, and we get 33.3 repeater meters per second. So if you're going 120 kilometers per hour, you're roughly going about 33 meters every single second in the car. Let's do one more. Convert 150 meters per second. So you're going a lot of meters every single second. And we want to convert that to kilometers per minute. How many kilometers do we travel every single minute? So again, we want to convert our time of 1 second. We want to convert that into, instead, a minute. And the way to do that is to think, well, 1 second, if we have 60 of them, if we multiply by 60, that will get all the way up to 60 seconds, which is 1 minute. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other when we're converting our times. And we get to this sort of rate. So we've got our full minute, but we've got 9,000 meters, because 150 times 60 was 9,000. We don't want 9,000 meters, we want it in kilometers. So we can divide by 1,000 to get to kilometers, and 9,000 divided by 1,000 converts this to 9 kilometers. So we get our final answer of 9 kilometers per minute, because that's the sort of units we wanted, km per minute. Hope this helps with the questions. Good luck.